the gun when Rose was shot. Chandra, Alan?
Claudia Shea reporting live.
A kidnapped mother of a .357 Magnum, just one gun of a small arsenal.
They had a closet full of rifles and shotguns, and I believe there was 4 or 5 handguns.
But according to Kemp, thoughts of suicide changed when Rose Miller decided instead to have Kemp hire a hitman to kill Kevin and Terry Crawley. They are 2 of the prosecution's witnesses in the child abuse case.
I think by the discussion that we had, and she felt that everything would be okay if they could turn the tables.
And kill the Crawleys.
And kill the Crawleys.
Kemp says he played along with the Millers' request to have the Crawleys' home firebombed, but then called attorney Michael Rubin, who told the prosecution. The day the Millers' bond was to be revoked for the alleged scheme, both Rubin and Kemp feared for their lives.
Because I figured if they could get into the courthouse with a gun, they would not only shoot Mike, they would shoot me because they would feel that I betrayed them.
And by reporting that, Kemp did what he was legally bound to do. He and attorney Mike Rubin still represent Wesley, who is hospitalized in West Palm Beach at St. Mary's Hospital in critical condition. Alan?
Claudia, did Mr. Kemp comment at all on the child abuse charges?
I did ask him about the child abuse charges, if he did think that Rose and Wesley Miller actually did commit child abuse, but since he is still on that case, he was not able to comment, Alan.
Claudia Shea reporting live. Chandra?
Says he fears for his life and wants off the case. The attorney claims Miller planned to take a gun into the courtroom and kill anyone who threatened to put him in jail. But Rubin said Miller backed down when he saw the attorney with bodyguards. Just before the hearing, Rose Miller allegedly shot her husband and then turned the gun on herself. She died. Her husband is still in critical condition.
Locally, a convicted child molester went to court today on the job. Lieutenant Bill Ward was charged with improperly using a stun gun on a man he arrested for drunk driving. Ward claims he shocked the suspect to zap him out of an alcoholic stupor and to prevent him from falling into a coma. Following the incident, the Sheriff's Department suspended the lieutenant, saying he misused the stun gun. In light of today's plea, he was reinstated as a road patrol deputy and he was fined $700.
The Treasure Coast's first...
Lieutenant Bill Ward was suspended from the Sheriff's Department after being charged with using a stun gun on a drunk driving suspect. Today, Ward pleaded no contest to the charges and was fined $700. Ward gets his job back, but he loses his lieutenant's rank. Road Patrol Deputy Ward will be back on the job at 7 o'clock tonight.
The whole time was to keep his job. He's a 14-year veteran who wanted to keep his pension. He'll be able to work his way back up through the ranks of the Sheriff's Department. Probably within a year he'll have his rank back.
Sheriff James Holt previously said Ward had violated departmental policy by using the stun gun. The officer could have gotten a year in prison if convicted of the excessive force charges. The Delray Beach Police Department...
Most horrible they've ever seen. Hello, everyone. A Hobe Sound woman charged in a brutal child abuse case has pleaded guilty.
Vicki Hedrick told a judge in open court today she is guilty of abusing her 4-year-old daughter, Cassandra. Eyewitness News Treasure Coast reporter Chris Douglas was the only television reporter in the courtroom today. He has this exclusive report.
Vicki Hedrick had pleaded innocent to charges she abused her daughter Cassandra. But today, Hedrick struck a deal with prosecutors. One of the keys to the deal, Hedrick had to plead guilty.
The child had written to her mother indicating she would like to hear that. The guardian felt it would be important for the defendant to admit that.
Police also charged Rose and Wesley Miller with horribly abusing Cassandra. The Millers attempted suicide last month. Rose died. Wesley is in a coma in an area hospital. Cassandra and her 11-year-old sister Crystal are still dealing with the trauma. And while they want their mother to take responsibility for at least some of what happened, they don't want her to go to jail.
The children might feel guilt feelings if they were to be the ones to place mother in jail.
So the prosecutors and defense attorneys worked out a plea bargain, agreed to by Vicki Hedrick. The deal calls for pleading guilty in exchange for 15 years probation and no contact with her daughters until 4-year-old Cassandra is 18.
It was in my best interest, I feel.
You may never get to see your daughter again.
I know, but I'm sure I'll get through it somehow.
The lawyer representing the children's interest is pleased with Hedrick's guilty plea.
I'm happy to see the mother finally do something that's in these children's best interests.
Prosecutors say now, after a lifetime of abuse, maybe Cassandra and her sister Crystal can finally get on with their lives. In Stewart, Chris Douglas, TV 12, Eyewitness News.
The guardian for Hedrick's children says the 2 girls are living happily in a foster home in the Indiantown area.
The first phase of jury selection in the rape trial of
Stone watches. $27 million in fine jewelry and watches. All 60% off. Now through Christmas. $27 million in fine jewelry and watches.
When you think Gloria, you've thought of everything.
This is our vision of what a luxury sedan should be. Not because it offers rich leather and anti-lock brakes, but because it comes standard with an airbag on the driver's side and the passenger side as well, creating a luxury sedan where even peace of mind is shared. The new 929, the first luxury sedan from the new Mazda.
It just feels right.
Ahoy, merry mates! The city of West Palm Beach invites you to the 12th annual Holiday Boat Parade and Fireworks, a free holiday tradition along the Intracoastal Waterway in downtown West Palm Beach. Gather your family in lawn chairs, fill picnic baskets with refreshments, and watch the skies and seas light up for the holiday season. Don't miss the fun and festivities on Flagler Drive. Celebrate the holidays South Florida style beginning at 6:30 p.m. Saturday, December 14th.
WPTV, West Palm Beach, Boca Raton, Fort Pierce. Live from your 24-hour news source, this is Action 5 News, the Night Beat.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Jim Sack.
And I'm Laurel Sauer.
Thank you for joining us on the Night Beat. Tonight, a 38-year-old Hobe Sound man is out on bond after allegedly raping a woman from Maine he met on the beach last month. But this is no ordinary sexual battery case because the 25-year-old alleged victim is mentally handicapped and has the mind of a 10-year-old. Night Beat reporter Bill Alexander has the story.
Detectives with the Martin County Sheriff's Department say this is the setting for the crime that has left a mentally handicapped girl and her vacationing parents in a state of shock.
This is an unusual case. Sad case, but very unusual.
Thomas Connors of Hobe Sound, who was released on bond, is charged with raping a 25-year-old woman from Maine in mid-November. A woman with severe mental problems, with the capacity to think only on the level of a 10-year-old.
In the state's opinion, at this time in my investigation, it appears that she was incompetent to make a competent decision to have intercourse with this particular gentleman.
According to the affidavit, this is where the whole thing got started, here at the Hobe Sound Beach. The young girl wandered away from her parents. She wanted to look for seashells, but she encountered Connors.
He apparently convinced her to go home with him.
That no one's disputing the fact there was sex, no one's disputing the fact there was consent. It's just a question of whether her disease, whether her mental disease or defect vitiated the consent.
The case also raises questions about the mentally retarded in the community.
Folks with mental retardation particularly are just getting out into the community and working effectively in the community and doing a lot of the social things that previously they've never been able to do.
And Cap says, unfortunately, situations like this will probably happen again. In Hobe Sound, Bill Alexander, Action 5 News on the Night Beat.
The mother of the man killed in a was selling crack to Florida Department of Law Enforcement agent John Jones. Today, witness Colisa Lee testified that she actually smoked crack with the agent. But after a heated cross-examination by the prosecutor, the judge said Lee's testimony was not credible. Jolly's lawyer says he won't have the woman take the stand again.
There won't be any further accusations against Agent Jones. I think that he's satisfied them to my personal satisfaction, to my ethical satisfaction, and he will not be bothered by any of these people again.
On a side note, after today's testimony, the judge sentenced Colisa Lee to 10 days in jail for calling the prosecutor an obscene name. A Wellington man accused of selling cocaine at the site of the new downtown.
Defendants were arrested in the drug sweep, but residents in the area involved say they saw Jones smoke crack cocaine and trade drugs for sexual favors.
Did you observe him to be smoking?
Yes, I did.
Did you observe him to be inhaling it?
Yes, I did.
Did you observe his normal faculties impaired?
It was weird.
But on cross-examination, Lee admitted she could not supply the dates she saw Jones using drugs and that her memory was impaired by her own drug use. Judge Larry Schack denied the motion for hair samples and found Lee in contempt of court for muttering an obscenity at the assistant state attorney in the case.
Police dispatchers in Delray Beach are
has started looking into motorist complaints about possible harassment. Action News Night Beat reporter Bill Alexander has the story.
It is an investigation lawyers and their clients say is long overdue.
A long, hard look must be taken at all Florida counties.
Minorities are being targeted on I-95 on the traffic stops ever since Trooper Vogel's profile has been approved by the Supreme Court. But when you get into the cities here and into the minority communities, at that point I think white people are being targeted.
This week, a special state panel begins investigating racial and ethnic bias in law enforcement searches and confiscation practices. Governor Lawton Chiles says he's concerned that officers may be stopping cars on the basis of a profile, such as cars driven by African Americans or Hispanics. The governor's investigation was prompted by complaints in Volusia County, but Martin and St. Lucie counties have long been the targets of criticism. Several lawsuits claim minorities are being singled out.
I don't believe it really is a racial thing. Unfortunately, out of all the people we do stop out there, which when the ones we do stop are breaking the law by speeding or driving or whatever, unfortunately the majority of them, we have wrote more citations to white people out there, but unfortunately we have arrested more black people doing the hauling of the drugs and stuff.
In fact, Martin County has one of the better track records, but critics say some officers tend to stretch the law.
For example, a case where they find a baggie with some cocaine residue, instead of just filing possession of paraphernalia, they'll also file possession of cocaine because that allows them to forfeit the vehicle the person's in.
Forfeiture money helps buy high-tech equipment, things like helicopters and radar guns, in times when budgets are shrinking. And the panel wants to stop the misuse. The governor's panel will review complaints and recommend necessary legislative action. In Martin County, Bill Alexander, Action 5 News on the Night Beat.
Palm Beach Police.
Urologist John.
5 children are left.
A judge threw the book at LaPierre. Angry animal lovers surrounded LaPierre as he faced the music in Martin County Court. LaPierre pleaded guilty to throwing Kojak, the dog, off the Indian River Bridge twice because, for the first time, it didn't kill him. Kojak's owner poured out his emotions to Judge Larry Shack.
Why did he want to kill my dog? Because I've never done that to the man. I don't even know him. And I just think it's cold-blooded murder, what he done. It just would have been one of my grandkids.
LaPierre says there were 2 other men on the bridge with him, and he threw the dog off because of peer pressure. The judge sentenced LaPierre to 5 months in jail, 3 years probation, restitution to the owner, community service, and LaPierre cannot own a pet while he's on vacation.
To get familiar